Welcome, Pedro, here to our second interview together. I'm so proud that you are here.
Thank you, Marcus. It's an absolute joy to see you and to be with you as always. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. Thank you very much that you take your time, 20 or 30 minutes. And I want to, this is Pedro Cortina, Dr. Pedro Cortina, who wrote this first amazing book, Curflexion. Curflexion. He will tell, the curflexion from the inner source, from the inner zero space, where you can really meet your own power that is inside. And this is for me the book that came out. It's really philosophical, where how the suffering is created, and also the way out of suffering. How this is what we do. Inquiry is working. Thank you very much for this book. And the second book that is coming out now, it's just here, Inquiry-Based Coaching, The Power of Zero Space, by Dr. Pedro Cortina and Tanya Fiora, your wife. I'm very happy. Living Your Inner Freedom. This is, so I want to ask you a little bit, how from here to here, this is a huge journey.
Oh, yes.
This is philosophically, but also a lot of practice and practice work, how you can free yourself. And this is more, this led then more into this inquiry-based coaching model. And can you share a little bit, what is this and what is that?
Absolutely. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you so much. Curflexion was born out of a profound search for understanding, deep understanding about the nature of reality and the nature of our mind and the nature of suffering. And with a background in philosophy, my mind is geared that way. I'm someone that I'm mostly a systems thinker. The way I find peace internally is through process of deep, heartfelt understanding of whatever is it that I'm exploring. So for years and years and years, probably a decade of search, trying to understand, trying to find the answers to the big questions in life, trying to make sense of my own life, my own trauma, my own experiences of dissatisfaction, anxiety, depression. I was an avid seeker, and I devoted myself to study and to find whatever it took, the resolution to this condition, this human condition in life. And
also the structure of the brain, the structure of the mind, how the mind works, how the
exactly
mind
how the mind works
itself.
Yes, how the mind works, how did we build assumptions that we call algorithms, how these algorithms run our everyday or our everyday lives, how we make assumptions, how we project, etc., etc. And one day I was in an actual meeting in a university. I used to work in higher education. Now I do this full time. And I literally started having a panic attack. And the panic attack, it was one more. I was, not used to them, but I've been having several. And this experience was of complete inner annihilation, complete death, internal death, complete annihilation, that everything was going to collapse internally, and that this form of dark force was going to somehow devour me. And at that point, through my learning, I came to a point that I thought, I've tried everything. I've tried breathing, directing attention, all kinds of exercises, etc., etc. So this is it, and I just surrendered to it. And as I surrendered to it and felt even more intensely the sense of dissolution, of voidness, slowly I started to notice that there was this sense of experiencing the dissolution or the pain or this experience of death or annihilation, that did not push me into annihilation, that I could be this witness and to the process. And so that invited me to relax into it a little bit more. And then what appeared to me in my mind was literally myself in front of me, and as if I was a reflection of myself, as if I was somehow meeting myself. And then that's why the book is called Curflexion, because it's a curved reflection. And why would I not just say reflection, like two objects, two mirrors facing each other? That would be a reflection. Why does it need to be a curved reflection? Because philosophically, in the realm of non-dualism, this recognition of ourselves is made from the original recognizer. So it is more of a curved reflection. You are recognizing yourself through yourself, or across yourself, or within yourself, rather than just, oh, there's a mirror and I can recognize myself. It's a deeper recognition. And that's the title of the book, Curflexion. And so, as you were rightly mentioning, Curflexion was born through a process of profound inner churning, profound intensity. It is a book that is heavy on the conceptual side in terms of understanding, not in terms of theorizing. It's a simple book. There's no complicated theoretical constructs. It is a book, though, that is that assumes a certain understanding of the nature of our mind, and it goes very, very deep. This book, the version that we have now, is still a very diluted version of the first version of the book. The first version of Curflexion was, after Tanya read it the first time, she said, well, this is not, I get it. She says, absolutely, this is absolutely incredible, mind-blowing, but I think it's going to be really difficult for anyone to read it, or for very, very few people to read it.
Was it big, 500 pages, or
it was around a similar number of pages, a little bit more pages, but it was very direct and very matter of fact and very to the point. No padding, no
directly the truth.
Just
Oof.
And we both thought that it wasn't material, publishing material. So I worked really hard to make this work land in a way that could be shared with others more easily, and understood by others more easily. But nevertheless, it is still a book that is interestingly challenging for our traditional rational mind. It's more of an invitation into this space of self-realization. And then through...
And Pedro, I want to stay a little bit with the Curflexion, because I realized that when you say there's a depression and this state, and you felt that the disillusion and that you became self-transparent.
Yes.
So you saw yourself in the mirror as a transparent, so you saw the infinity of yourself, and you could see the infinite in the mirror. And how is this Curflexion experience, watching from infinite to the infinite in the mirror, as a mirror watching a mirror?
Yeah, so the sensation was myself watching myself, but not feeling separated from myself. That's why it's a curved reflection. And thank you for reminding me, because I didn't go through this. And then the great moment, the great aha moment, was noticing the body and my reflection of the body, and noticing all the pain that I had been experiencing. I asked myself, in not verbally, so it just like the question arose, what if all of that density was not there? What if that was a transparent canvas? What if that body is as perceived as an impediment is a construction? What if that body as perceived is a construction? So I invited myself somehow to, I invited the experience to show me what would the nature of my existence be without that density, without that heaviness. And then the body dissolved. And then the body in front of me dissolved, of course, because it was a form of reflection. But there was still awareness. There was still this being able to see. There were no eyes. There was no body, but there was this ability to see. And what I saw was an awareness looking at a reflecting mirror that was looking at a reflecting mirror that was from an awareness as well. So there was nothing but awareness, and the reflection was infinite. It's very similar when you go into an elevator or a room that has mirrors in front or the back. Sometimes if there's an angle in the mirror, you look a little bit towards the side and you can see yourself repeating at infinity. Well, that was a sensation, but imagine a metaverse, completely self-contained perceptual experience where there is actually no body, where there's no density. So there was this recognition of infinity within infinity, while at the same time there was awareness of self. So infinity within infinity, with recognitions, with the recognition of an awareness of self. And
why was it then curved? Is it when you look in the infinity that you could see the infinite space that is curved? Because Einstein says that the space is curved.
Yeah. That was like the direct experience of this sensation. This was not a reflection of one object into another object. There was no separation. So how could I be reflecting myself if there's no two? Yes. But at the same time, I'm reflecting myself. So it was this awareness of being aware, right?
Yeah.
And that generated a little bit of a crisis in me. And I remember I had one of those iPads, I don't know what number, they were starting up. And finally, everything made sense. Profound relaxation, profound understanding, profound clarity around the nature of who I was and how it worked. I remember, oh, now I know how it works. I know how it works. I know what it is. I know what it is. And I started writing. And it was an incredible kind of download of words and trying to do my best to relay things as best as possible. At first, as I was telling you, the first version was definitely not for the faint-hearted. It was really intense. Some people say my style of writing is very structured. It's not very flowery. It's very matter of fact. Well, you can imagine this one was like really, really. We were not leaving anything unclear on that one. And it was 2 months of nonstop writing. I would stay sometimes all night, and then in the morning, and I would give it to Tanya, and she would say, well, whatever feedback, and then again, and then come back, etc., etc. And when that was out, when the whole thing was out of the system, there was this absolute sense of, oh, okay, so this is it. So what do we do with this now? So for me, it works. That's great. And then that's how we decided to see, well, probably we can share it with others. But that was a problem. It's a complicated book to share with others. So we did our best to try to reduce the intensity of the book somehow. And we actually provided a version that I'm very, very happy with. This is not a book for the general public. This is a book for people that are really committed and really, I can even say, somehow in pain or somehow needing this clarity for themselves and for their life. So that's how this version appeared. And again, it's not a book for the general public.
And how did you came from the experience of this curflexion, how you perfectly described now, to the Triparadoxia as a path into this experience of curflexion?
Yeah. So I noticed that, of course, the logical linear thought was never going to deliver us into this clarity, because if it would, it should already had. We have extensive, extraordinary masters of philosophy, physics, that deal with logic, et cetera, and from my humble perspective, nothing that those disciplines has produced really allows for this profound alleviation of the inner conundrum, right? So one of the first things that I noticed is even the curve reflection is a paradox, So how could something be mirroring itself without a second object, and at the same time there's awareness? And how can that host of awareness can actually dissolve and disappear, and there's still awareness? So in traditional Eastern philosophy, there's a lot of that, particularly in Buddhism, Zen, the koans, et cetera. So as the exploration persisted, I noticed that there were three particular insights that supported me profoundly in being able to crack the enclosure or the prison I was in. And one was language. So and I call them the three paradoxes, or I called the chapter or the model the Triparadoxia. And the first paradox is the paradox of language, because as much as we needed, it blocks whatever we want to do at this level. Language has a profound ability to harden itself when we leave it unchecked. See, language has a way to harden itself when we leave it unchecked, when we stop questioning meaning, discourse. What is it that we're trying to understand? If you're having a heated discussion with somebody and they start throwing out, concepts, it's very difficult to have conversations. What is it that you mean by this concept? What is it that you mean by love or commitment or connection, right? So one of the exercises, and paradoxically, this book, as much as we say it is abstract and philosophically inclined, it's full of practical exercises. The whole book is full of practical exercises.
That's so
astonishing. There's a ton of practical exercises, precisely for us to be able to move into that space of non-duality, to move in that space into that space of the paradox. So a simple exercise that I do for the language paradox is just close your eyes, take a deep breath. You notice whatever disturbance in your forest is going on, using Star Wars language, of course. And when you notice the experience, you really settle in it. You connect with it. You allow it to show up as it needs to. And then you ask yourself, what would this experience be in reality? What would this experience be for me without labeling, without naming, without language? And it turns out that experience is something, generally speaking, completely different than whatever our algorithmic driven mindset was trying to sell, using the language that algorithm mindset generally uses to sell. One of the things I noticed is that as soon as there's discomfort or pain emotionally, or inner pain of some sort, in the words of Daniel Hanneman, system one takes over. And system one is the mind that knows, the mind that triggers, the mind that shoots, the mind that answers, the mind that assumes, the mind that doesn't have enough space to really go deeper. And system 2 is the mind that actually allows for space and allows for more creativity and allows for more insight, right? So when we cut the language discourse in relationship to something that is going on within, it generally allows for space and light. And that's when we go, oh, sometimes we're just there. We can't even use words because we're actually approaching or addressing or witnessing what we're experiencing through the path of no words. And that doesn't mean that because there are probably no words, that doesn't mean it doesn't serve us. On the contrary, this is what heals us. This noticing, this understanding, this expansion. Because some of our inner world has words, but not all of our inner world is word-based, right? And there's a lot of density that we're having to carry that is nonverbal and is deeper. The second one, just to go quickly over the three of them, is a 2-for-1 paradox. And the other thing I discovered is that every time I committed myself to be happy, I ended up miserable. Every time I decided to do something to be happy, that same thing eventually would generate the seeds for my unhappiness. And that created a cycle, and that cycle was circular and persistent as heck. And that the source of the problem is that I was pushing positivity into my world. I was not alleviating and generating space. I was not healing internally the parts of me that needed healing. I was pushing positivity. I was forcing those parts of me to see things positively. Oh, look at this. And then I, with philosophical background, I had very, very powerful arguments, for my different inner parts to convince them that they should be feeling happy. And look at what this philosopher said, and look what the Buddha said, and look what this other one said. And of course, if we're not doing this like they did, that means we're not enough, we're not good enough, right? So every time I pushed positivity, I got negativity.
So but in the moment when I feel, when I see, this is, when I name it as this is positive, I create a dark side of negativity in the moment of labeling. So how is this going to happen?
Precisely. That's how it happens. The thing is that at the moment, we don't notice because it is a seed. It is tiny. But what we're doing is the moment we're peddling positivity or labeling something as positive, in that instant, we generate the attachment that is going to be our own downfall. We generate the attachment that is going to now make us worry about that we have now called positive or beautiful or loving or joyful. In the instant we give any notion a positive attribute, now we have to defend it. Now it's at risk of disappearing. Now it may not be permanent. Now somebody's gonna come in and rob us from it by saying something terrible now. And so this is an intrinsic dualistic process of solidification that the only way to let go of it is by letting go of both, right? Because then you can say, oh, okay, so the way to get positive is by looking for negative or producing negative. So that's kind of no, look at people that produce negative. Definitely not the case. It's a short path to hell. What does the only reason or the only way that we can actually break this condition is by allowing for the paradox of letting go of both or holding both at the same time as equally valid and as equally powerful as and equally possible. And then the momentum of the cycling.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work in Eastern philosophy around wheels, you know, and karma and momentum and not being able to stop, right? In that same spirit, the only way to break the momentum around our inner world of pushing positivity and getting negativity, or pushing negativity and then getting positivity, but then getting negativity, is to drop both. And this is a completely new space. This is a completely new space that it's not something that, you know, it's not packageable easily in, you know, courses or empowerment circles or this or that. Empowerment circles generally are about what I call the champagne effect, right? Which is just get people really excited, shake the bottle, out goes the cork, you know, explosion of bubbles, everybody's happy, everybody's sharing, and, you know, just a few moments afterwards, it can be one day or it can be 5 years, everything is just sticky and uncomfortable.
You know, when I watch both, like you said, you know, I watch both. I look both, see this and this. Then it's a triangle. Consciousness is watching both. There is a triangle then creating, and there is space here. They part. And how is then the 2-for-1 paradox leading to this polarized parts in the parts works? This isn't this connected also? That the parts who have positive intention, they want really to protect, they want to save and to survive. So then they split themselves into parts and they polarize each other.
Yeah, same principle.
Themselves, not each other, themselves.
Exactly, it's same principle. So the whole idea of inner parts or parts of us, we've been exploring since Curflexion. Remember, Marcus, you did the translation into German, and we're profoundly appreciative, you and Janine, we're profoundly appreciative to both of you for doing that work in this very complicated text, and we really, really appreciate it. And you know, we used to call them skippers because we used to what's the translation in German?
Der das Fahrzeug steuert, the leader of the ship.
Exactly. So why the skipper or the leader of the ship? Because they take over. In the same way, our parts, when they're activated, parts of us take over. And so when I'm activated, who do I turn into? Oh, well, I turn into someone that is anxious and annoyed, reactive, very decisive, etc., etc. Is that who you are all the time? Is that who you are all the time? Is that your true self? That's Marcus? No, because when I'm happy and relaxed and I'm enjoying my family, etc., etc., I'm patient, I feel connected, etc., etc. And if you were to identify those two versions of Marcus, and if you were to sit down with each of them, you could have an incredibly detailed conversation around what is life for each of them, what's important, what needs to be taken care of, what is the most important part of life, what are the most important values and which values are not. So this inner world that we now work a lot with in our programs at the Innerland Institute is the world of our different inner selves, inner identities, inner personalities, and we call them parts. And often happens that these parts of us have different agendas. And sometimes it happens that these different agendas are directly opposing to two particular selves within. So you can have one that goes, oh, I really want to, what is it? move to, I really want to live in a mountain in the Alps. What's the name of that beautiful mountain?
Engelberg in Switzerland.
Engelberg. In a beautiful cabin in the village of Engelberg, and just, you know, be in peace. And then another part of you may love to, you know, live in the center of Zurich and enjoy, you know, activity and going to events or the symphony, or, you know,
one part wants silence and one part wants movement.
exactly.
And
And so what
talking.
happens when you have two parts of you, or two identities within you, or two expressions of yourself that are in conflict?
Yeah.
Right? So what we do, and this is where the 2-for-1 paradox starts, is we try to push one. No? Or we come with a different, or with a new concept. Oh, this is beautiful, and then we push, and then we push, and then we push. What we need to understand is that these different selves have these positions, have these perceptions, have these agendas, have these values, because of things that they believe are crucially important for the system. Each of these parts of us learns what's important through our history, through our past, particularly through our trauma or through our difficult experiences. And so one of these inner selves can come in, and one day, I remember I was looking for my father. I was very, very little. I was, I think, 6 years old. I saw someone that looked like him from the back. I ran to him. I hug him in, you know, like his legs. I look up, and it wasn't my dad, and it was horrifying for the 6-year-old. Shockingly horrifying. And especially the reaction of this guy was like, I don't know, probably I startled him, and it was like he pushed me away, and it wasn't him, and I just, you know. So I was able to trace a very primordial sense of distrust in settings, it was a restaurant, so there was a lot of chit chatter, and there was like a reunion environment, and so that generate for this part is that, no, this is not safe, we need to be careful in these kinds of environments, etc., etc. And that was a trait that I grew up with. And on the other hand,
the parts are experience this
exactly,
rejection or this pushing away.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
we need to be careful. We need to be careful about strangers. We need to be careful about people we think we know, but we're not sure we know. We need to be careful about exposing ourselves, right? And then you have another part that had the most amazing, I don't know, whatever, birthday cake dinner one day when they were little, and friends came over and they brought balloons, and they love, you know, connecting and interacting, and so this is what starts to happen. Polarization is one of the most common experiences of inner misalignment, pain, or friction. And it's very, very easy to identify. Every time you're feeling conflicted, oh, a part of me wants to go, but a part of me wants to stay. Oh, a part of me wants to, I don't know, go for a coffee. A part of me wants an ice cream. Those are simple, of course, examples.
Yeah.
You know, a part of me wants to leave this marriage. A part of me wants to stay. A part of me wants to make it work. A part of me wants to not make it work, right? Part of me wants to stay in this profession or in this job for the long run. A part of me wants to go out there and start their own business and start to write crazy things and share them with the world. A part of me. So these are the important ones. These are the important ones. And in my experience working with many, many clients, these polarizations are one of the most important sources of energy drain we have in our life.
Discover them.
Should I do this? Should I not? Right?
So how do you discover them? You say it is easy, and how you treat them?
very easy.
Both, or how? Yeah.
Yeah, to discover them, you just one of the things that I assume is easy is a capacity of inner observation, and but probably for some people this is not easy, right? I just assumed it easy. That is easy because it is the door to any form of personal transformation, a capacity to go inside and notice what's going on internally.
Yes.
Before we have that opening in our lives, it is a pretty straightforward one. We're basically moving, with blindfolds, bumping into things. We don't even notice what's going on inside, and we're reacting, we're assuming, we're projecting, et cetera, et cetera. So the first thing is the ability to move inside and to just witness inside what's going on. So the first step for dealing with polarization is to move inside. Generally, the moving inside requires a little bit more oxygen or more grounding. So generally, the moving inside generally accompanied by breath, by deep breath. We need the energy, we need the oxygen, we need our nervous system to let go a little bit. And once we're in there, we just pay attention. And in the same way as if you were listening to two people that you love dearly that are having an argument, and you really are interested in understanding or supporting, how would you do that? First, you identify the parts of you that are polarized, and that's also easy to do because you just first take the loudest one, and the one that's this should be happening and it's not, and you should be not taking this crap from your boss, and this is never going to work, etc. That's generally we have one that's the louder of both. And then so you acknowledge that and you go, okay. And then you literally, as if you were looking around in your inner system, and then you go, okay, so who's opposed to this? Who's not okay with this? Who has an issue with this, right? And generally it will sometimes at first, especially, they may feel shy and go, what? No, I don't know. What? Me? No, I'm not, because the first times we bring this awareness into our inner world, it may be strange for some of our inner selves. It may be strange for some of the different versions of ourselves, some of our parts, to see that there's something literally actually listening now. So, but generally, when that's resolved, you sustain, and then you have the other part. And there could be others. There could be an issue where you have 7 different versions of yourself or parts of you that have different positions on the same issue. That's perfect. Let's start with a simple exercise with 2. So you have one, generally the one that's more loud or more active, and then you have the other. And the invitation is exactly as you would in a process of trying, as I was saying, trying to support 2 people you love or 2 children, is completely letting them know that you're with both, letting them know that you're willing to support the understanding, and inviting them kindly and gently, not forcing anything. Nothing works if we force it in our inner world, and that's part of the 2-for-1 paradox. That's why we push, we get a reaction. And so we invite each of them to share whatever it is that they need to share, in as much depth as they need to share it, with as much time as they need to share it, and inviting the other part to listen, to what the part that is expressing itself is sharing. And when that's done, we thank the part and we allow the other part to do the same. And when that's done, we thank the part and we come back to the original part and ask, is there anything that you would like to add, or is there anything that you would kindly and gently want to say about what you heard from the other part? And then you do that, and then you do that again, and then you do that again, and then you do that again, and then you do that again. our system is so extraordinarily beautiful and has such incredible potential that if we just do that, generally speaking, both parts of us are going to not only understand each other, but let go of the burdens they were carrying spontaneously, just through the process of understanding. Oh, because then you can see, it's a process of empathy. It's a process of compassion internally. You can see, oh, so what's driving you is this, and that. You're concerned about this, and that. No, I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about those other things that you're not concerned. Oh, just by listening, the whole process is held. Sometimes, if needed, if there's still enough energy in both positions, in the different parts, you can also invite participation from your true self, from your original space, from your 0 point, from your zero space. You can also participate, right? So the question would be, if they have one of them has a question, so what do you do with this, right? Or what do you do with this fear? And what I invite my clients to answer is, what would you answer that part from your 0?
What?
At your 0.
Repeat again. What?
What would you answer the part from your 0, from your 0 space, from your true self? What would you answer the part? And you should see the stuff that comes up. Because just by noticing that, and noticing that the parts are not blending with you, or trying to take the seat of your consciousness, or trying to push you away, just by allowing that, profound insight shows up, right? The beauty about this work, skippers, different selves, identities, parts, is that they themselves have access to their own light, have access to their own true self. They themselves have access to their 0. And when we allow them to have access to their 0, also the unburdening becomes spontaneous. They go, oh, so why am I worrying about this?
Yeah.
And oh, there's someone else that's concerned about this. We can trust each other. Or oh, there's this presence in the room that's full of light. The true self in the room that's full of light that can support both of us, right? I don't need to carry this anymore. And so it's a beautiful process. So to summarize, you go in, you notice, you pay attention to the loudest, you invite the loudest to stay, you see who is, opposed to that, and then you invite them each to fully express themselves without interruption. You're holding the space, you're witnessing the space as the higher presence in the system, within your system, and you allow that witnessing from the light, from self, of the burdens and the density that is being carried by the parts. That's the healing experience. So one finishes, you ask the other finishes, then you go back, then you go back, then you go back, and then at some point this one's going to say, oh, I'm not that concerned anymore, actually, and this one's going to say, oh, well, if you're not concerned, then I'm neither. I've had beautiful moments with some of my clients, and this happens. It's not like once, it happens sometimes, that after we have a depolarization exercise and they come back and they integrate and they're going out, they say at the end of the session or before leaving, they say, oh, they generally say, this is shocking. Now they're chit-chatting together and hanging out with each other. Now they're kind of one person said,
parts.
Oh,
the parts
the two parts that were opposing each other, now they're coming, they're turning away from the client internally in his internal world, turning away, walking away from him, kind of with each other, and like that, chit-chatting about what they're going to do, not in a excluding way, but in a way of the sense mostly is we've got this now, right? That it's been cleared up. So it is incredibly powerful, and in my experience, a lot more issues than we think. A lot more issues than we think are produced by polarizations.
Yeah.
The thing is, sometimes parts that are polarized, they themselves don't know of the other part. The other part is experienced in in the awareness of who we are. What happens is that part A takes the seat of awareness, blends with us, and runs the show. When part B comes in, part A is gone. Part A is not aware of the counter argument.
They don't
Part
know from
A
each other.
They can be completely unaware of each other. And one of the most powerful and healing aspects of the depolarization exercise is that they finally become aware that there's another position that has the same internal weight. There's another part, there's another inner being, there's another inner self that has opposition to what you are trying to promote from one part, right? And that's also why we have these experiences of tremendous, I don't know, what is it? Is it guilt? Is it shame? You know, when a part blends and takes you over your seat of consciousness and says, oh, you need to, whatever, let me use a simple exercise. You need to exercise every day and eat well. And what about your health and this and that? You're not going to live forever, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And it's yapping away. And you go, no, yeah, no, I'm not, yeah, no, yeah. Where's the lettuce? You know, where's the healthy food and the exercise? Okay, I promise. And then that part relaxes, and the more liberal, consumption part of you takes over and says, how about that donut, or how about that, cheese, and then when the original part comes in, goes, what's going on? Didn't we say we're not going to do that? We said we were not going to do that. You're disappointed. You can't do it. You can't blah, blah, blah. This is disappointment, et cetera, right? And then that one leaves, and then the other one,
push this part away.
Yeah, they leave, and they leave. And one of the mind-blowing aspects of this work is that way more often than not, these parts live isolated from one another.
Yeah.
So they're blind to their agenda. They understand that and they all have a positive intent. So the positive intent of the one that says to you that you should be eating healthy is very clear. But also the one that says, eat a donut from time to time, buddy, or, relax and just throw yourself in the sun. It has a positive intent. Every single part of us has a positive intent. And that's why we have this internal experience of misalignment, inner conflict, and distress, because we have many parts within that have taken on responsibilities and agendas that they felt at some point in life were crucially important for the sustainment of the system, and they have isolated themselves and hardened their positions because what they believe needs to happen for the system, they believe is crucial, the most important, or one of the most important things. So what happens then is but they don't know of each other.
They don't know.
Because they're hardened and their mission is so important, they're not even aware that there are other perspectives or other parts or other selves within. So that's why polarization is such a common condition inside. And that's why a lot of the work, I was going to say most, but I don't know if most, but a lot of the work, we need to put attention. I think we really need to put attention we need to focus our attention on this condition of polarization, because polarization is incredibly subtle, slippery, because of the fact that parts do not know of each other. If you were to go in and then suddenly see, you know, a conflict between parts quite easily, you would go, oh, okay, well, there you go. But this is not how it happens. Generally in our lives, one takes over and does what it needs to do, and then the other, that one leaves, and then the other one comes in, and then so. And sometimes when both are active, even then they probably don't know that the other one is active, or even if they know that the other one is active or that the other one exists, they do not necessarily know that the other one has a point.
No, it's a power
that the
struggle.
other one has a point, that the other one has a valid reason, a positive intent for the system, to be inclined to push the system and the agenda for the system in that direction. They don't know. But when we sit them and we allow them to really share what's going on for them and to present what is their original positive intent, and when that makes sense to the other part, it's like, ah, now I get it, right? And then both open up and both relax.
And I think this is the most healing exercises. You call it being with the part, or being with both, then in the polarization.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah, I think yeah. I understand there's many models of parts work that are very detailed and structured around means on how to, you know, access parts and unblend parts and unburden parts. But I'm strongly of the belief, and this is how I see this working in me and I would say all or most of my clients, just the being with is the healing aspect. Just the being with. When just the practice of being with, if we were just to do that practice and we were just to be with our parts would recognize the light. Our parts would recognize our true self. If we're with them in the light, in true self, in zero space, if we are with our parts in zero space, that's it. No poking, no questioning, no probing, no bartering, no negotiating, in my experience. Just being with from the light. That's what they need. And so in this wordless language, no language, right? In this wordless experience of being with your parts from your light, from your source, from your self, from your zero space, allows for them to go, oh, we're good. And then they let go. Oh, we're good. We let go. And if you want an additional one, when you're with your parts and they go, oh, what's that? It's that thing that's shining. You can just go, oh, you have one too. Spontaneous unburdening. Spontaneous unburdening, right? So that is,
how is this now related?
That is the practice.
That's the practice.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Pedro. And this is also related to the second Triparadoxia. Is the question is, who would you feel inside this moment if you would not change, if you would not go from one to the other and from the other, no changing, and then it opens easily also this polarization to come together. And often they emerge. Sometimes they merge into one, because they were one, and sometimes they are just two, but they are not friends.
They always merge into one, Marcus. When I went to I took formal training in some of the parts work models in a couple of different psychological traditions. that's what happens. That is what happens. The resting of the experience of letting go is one where we're relaxing into this understanding. Just relaxing into this understanding. That's it. And it's not an understanding, it's a knowing, it's a being, it's I call it understanding. I know that when I say understanding, for me, I'm talking about this understanding, not this understanding.
The grounding, it's a grounding in the
Yeah.
in the density of the body.
Mm-hmm.
Even there, I'm grounded then.
Mm-hmm.
It is clear. So thank you very much. This is a huge, now it's the second Triparadoxia, but this is, you know, I just wanted to make the link from the Curflexion because was there written
Mm-hmm.
already in your book.
Mm-hmm.
And now you just brought the inquiry-based coaching. Probably we do the next video on, and and there's the third video, and the third book is coming out next. Is the
Well,
parts
there's this one also.
parts work of zero space, yes.
In zero space, this is the third in the series, and this is one that introduces precisely parts work. Curflexion, that Janine and Marcus translated into German, is the first one. Then inquiry-based coaching with Tanya is the second one. Then parts work in zero space is the third one. And then there's this nice little booklet that is just it's a very thin booklet where the purpose is it's a reinterpretation of Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching with the language and the understanding and the philosophy that we're using for IBC and Zero Space and at the Innerland Institute. So yeah, and most importantly, just this work, as I was saying, particularly Curflexion, in some cases this work may not be for the general public, for general consumption, and that's perfectly okay. I mean, it's open to everyone. These books are on Amazon. You can definitely get them there, and et cetera, et cetera. But what I'm trying to say is, this is a model of understanding that's been inspired in the highest schools of non-dual practice in the Tibetan plateau and the Indian subcontinent. Much of the work that is behind this model and this methodology comes as an adaptation and a reinterpretation from the schools of Advaita and Mahamudra and Dzogchen in the Himalayas. So, and it's designed to give us an actual methodology. IBC, the model, the method we use, it's comprised of 12 questions that are designed to take you from your system one to your depth, from your reactive mind to your clarity, from your fear to your deep understanding, through the practice of 12 questions. And these 12 questions are incredibly simple. There's an app, of course. You can read the questions on the book. The questions themselves are not the great mysteries, how we answer the questions. And that's why we also have programs and training for people to learn how to facilitate the model and how to support others in the model. We really, really believe that even though this model is not for general consumption, for the people that are ready and for the people that have just said, this is, I need something else, and I need my freedom, I need my clarity, I need my understanding. This is a work and a method and books and texts that we are writing and we're sharing for you. This is for you. And that's it. We don't want this to become it's not, it's never going to, the teachings in which we are inspiring our model, our teachings that were held as quote unquote secret back in the East when they were alive, not because they were, you know, something out of the, well, they can be out of this world, but not because there was something prohibited or something that could be even dangerous. Not at all. It's because these practices are only for the people that are done. So this is a question for everyone that's watching today. Are you done? 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 Are you done of the suffering? Are you done of the projecting? Are you done of the expectation? Are you done with the separation? Are you done with the disappointment? Are you done? Okay.
That's,
and if you are, explore IBC.
it's all there.
Powerful.
Thank you so much, Pedro, for
Thank you, Marcus.
share your wisdom and your insight, and also for the people who are watching, and also for all our courses. They can watch the video, and I think it will support very much. Now we were talking about the being with, the polarized parts, the Triparadoxia, and the curflexion, and the experience of infinite to infinite. Thank you so much. It's a huge, huge wisdom there, and it is not hidden anymore. It is there. It's out there.
Yes.
Everyone's.
Thank you so much. This is quite unique. It's often clear to me, we've never been in this situation in this planet ever. We've never had the tools of resources that we have now for personal transformation. And for me, it is a great, great, enormous joy to be able to support in any way, even if it was, you know, inspiring one blade of grass, as one of my teachers used to say, just that for this moment, and to be able to use all the stuff that's now available that has not been for thousands and thousands of years. So thank you, Marcus.
So, and for those who want to contact you, and for those who want to contact you is on Dr. Pedro Cortina, your website, and Innerland Institute.
Yeah, the website is Dr. Cortina, so drcortina.com, Dr. Cortina, yes. Cortina, and of course, the Institute website is innerland.com. And yeah, we'll be delighted to. Huh?
The app is called Innerland. You have to, or
yeah,
IBC
you can search. Right now, we're the Android one. We're updating it, but the iOS one is fully available, and you.
It's Innerland app.
It's Innerland or IBC,
or IBC
Innerland,
app.
I think.
Innerland app or IBC app. You will find it.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Pedro.
Thank you, Marcus. Have a good one. See you next time. Thank you, everybody.